So for a long time, the African film industry has been defined by Nollywood, and Nollywood has been defined by special effects, witchcraft, repetitive storylines like someone is trying to steal your husband and your parents are forcing you to marry someone you do not love, and someone is choking you in your dreams. Yeah, it's been scary. But thankfully the industry has come a long way away from that, and now we have movies with relatable storylines, and I think as Africans we should support, we should stand. So today I'm going to share with you a few movies that I've watched that I've loved. The first movie on my list is from Malawi. It's called The Boy Who Harnessed the Wind, and it tells the true story of William Kakwamba, who saved his village from famine at 13 years old by building windmills, and he self-taught himself. Like, what? One of the things that stand out to me in this movie is the cinematography. I don't know if it's just me, but seeing beautiful sceneries of African countryside, it just makes me feel so good. And also the wardrobe, so there's this like retro high school teacher type of wardrobe, and I really love it. The storyline is really simple, and I feel like if I go into it then I'll just spoil it. But if you're there for a good movie, good cinematography, and a trip to a Malawian countryside, then yeah, highly recommend. The second movie on my list is Beasts of No Nation. It's set in a civil war in Ghana, and it follows the story of a child soldier.
All of you that have seen your family killed, you now have something that stands for you.
This is one of the most moving movies I've ever watched, honestly. And it made me cry. I mean, to be fair, I cry for everything. Like, I wake up, look at the sky, there isn't enough sun for me, and I just start crying. So me saying a movie made me cry isn't really saying much, but honestly, like, it's one of the most moving movies I've ever watched. And I think what it does really well is that it gives you a character who would be immediately rejected in society as a monster, but because you have been with him from the beginning till the end, regardless of all the horrible things he has done in between, you still feel a sense of sympathy for him. You feel like he deserves forgiveness and a second chance. And yeah, like, after the movie, I just sat there thinking a lot about human nature and forgiveness, and yeah, a movie that makes you think is a good movie. Also, I think when dealing with important issues like this in a movie, it's important not to create too happy an ending, because that takes away from the realism of the plot. I think this movie does that really well. The ending is not too bleak, but it's also realist. And there's another movie on my list that doesn't do that too well, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So this next movie is a lot more light in terms of the theme. It's called Merry Men, and it's set in Nigeria. It's played by Falz, Noah Ramsey, and a few others. By the way, I absolutely love Falz. I love Falz as a musician. I love Falz as an actor. Like, I absolutely adore him. His album called Moral Instructions, you should go and listen to it, because I said so. So the movie follows the life of 3 or 4 friends, and basically they live the high life, they're partying, and you know, the cars and the women and everything, but they're also involved in criminal, illegal activities. I think it's one of the first action movies, African action movies that I've watched. And I say action movies because there's actually a Guardian review that I read, and it described it as a low budget Fast and Furious shenanigans, which I think is a bit mean, but it's not false. The main thing about this movie is not the storyline or how great the action aspect of it was, but the comedy. That was it for me. It's a funny movie, and I also think if you're into Nollywood movies in general, then you're going to enjoy it. So the next movie is called Azali. It's set in northern Ghana, and it follows the story of the protagonist named Azali. And due to drought and failed crops and things like that, her family isn't really doing too well. And so a lady comes and convinces her mother to let her look for work in the city. And that is the reality of so many young girls living in villages. And I think the movie does a good job at showing how a girl dropping out of school can lead to a chain of unfortunate events, including unwanted pregnancies, STDs, child slavery, exploitation. That is why the work of organizations like PeerLink is so important. So PeerLink is a youth-run organization that works with communities like this to encourage young girls to stay in education. And it's funny because our next project is actually set in northern Ghana, and we're going to be building water wells and buying sewing machines for young women to learn a skill that they can later turn into a source of income. But coming back to the movie, it's a really melancholic movie. The movie does a good job at showing you things without telling you, so there isn't too much dialogue going on you just see things. And one final thing about this movie that I really liked was that they spoke for a good portion of the movie in Ghanaian languages with subtitles, of course. But I thought that was important because when you're presenting yourself to the world, it's important to stay your authentic true self. And talking about presenting yourself to the world, this is actually, I think it was the first or second Ghanaian movie ever to have been nominated. Was it nominated or presented to the Oscars? So yeah, like I think that is superb. That is one more reason why you should watch it. I mean, you should watch it because I recommend it, but also if you don't trust my recommendation, then you should watch it because it almost made it to the Oscars. The next movie is Lionheart, and the protagonist is played by Genevieve. If you guys know, Genevieve is an OG. Anyway, so basically the story follows the challenges that she has to face as a female entrepreneur trying to make it in the Nigerian corporate world. One thing that I loved about this movie is the fact that all the OGs came back. I'm talking Pete, Adochie, Kanayo, and that is really good because unfortunately, as the Nigerian film industry has been progressing, I feel like the OG actors have been left behind. Like, why are you not putting these people in your movies? Like, these people are the OGs, like the trailblazers. So yeah, it was really, really good to see them all together. And the movie itself was good. I think the ending was a little bit predictable for my taste, but it was a good movie. Had to go drink some water because I've been talking. The next movie is The Wedding Party. It's set in Nigeria and it's basically everything that happens leading up to the wedding of this guy who is essentially a player. Fun fact, the two protagonists of this movie end up being married in real life after the movie. So yeah, that's a little tea. This movie is dramatic. Drama.
The only person who has been kidnapped here today is my son, by that useless daughter of yours. Amy!
They tried to make a part 2 of it, and this is a clear example of when you do something once and it's good, leave it alone. Don't try to do a sequel. I don't know. The part 2 was so trash, so trash. So this next movie is not produced by Africans, but I think it's worth mentioning because it's set mostly in Cameroon, and it follows the life of Adu, who is like 8 years old at most. His real name is, well, it's played by Mustafa Umaru, who is an excellent actor. And it basically deals with a number of issues including poaching, illegal immigration, the refugee crisis. The movie does address white saviorism. So you have one of the main characters who is basically this Spanish guy, comes to Cameroon and is helping like the community deal with poaching, but then he thinks like he owns, you know, like I'm here to save the elephants, and like he completely disregards the local people and is disrespectful to them and like all of that nasty stuff. I was about to say all of that good stuff. Overall, like, it was a really moving movie to watch. It explored a lot of things. Also, there's some beautiful scenery of Cameroonian countryside, and like I said before, I love just countryside, African countryside cinematography. Like, I'm here for it. I love it. So yeah. The next movie is Citation. First of all, it's a beautiful movie. Like, in terms of scenery and images, it's beautifully shot, and also it's shot in 3 countries, so Nigeria, Senegal, and Cape Verde. So the Pan-African spirit is there, and I'm there for it. This movie also deals with an important issue in the African education system, which is mainly girls, female students being manipulated or sexually exploited by respectable male professors. And there's even a BBC documentary called Sex for Grades. It's presented by Kiki Modi, and in the documentary a few reporters basically go undercover to expose some of these teachers. So while this was a good movie, I have 2 little problems with it. The first one was the ending. I feel like the ending was just not realistic. And one other thing I want to say about the ending is that I felt rushed. So like there were things going on, and then the ending was just brrr, and then that's it. I don't know. Like, it was just things just like, it was a happy resolution too quickly, you know? I don't know if that made sense, like the whole brrr thing, but I hope you get it. And the second thing, there is an old character that they use a young actor to play. Like, they could have just used an old actor, but they went for a young actor and made him try to make him look old, which was really weird because this movie clearly has a budget. It was really weird. It reminded me of when we were at school. We would usually have like sketches, you know, when like you put chalk in someone's hair or whatever to try to make him look like the grandpa. Like, that is what it made me think of, which is just unfortunate because this movie was so good. But again, like, that is a very, very, very trivial thing. Like, it was a good movie. So last but not least is Half of a Yellow Sun, a movie rendition of the novel Half of a Yellow Sun by Chimamanda Ngozi Adichie. And it basically follows a couple, well, a family during the Biafran War.
What's happening in Lagos?
What's happened? There's been a coup. Bring out your passports!
Where are you running to?
Mama, people are fleeing.
If you don't know about the Biafran War, I suggest you watch a video by NewAfrica where they explain it in detail. NewAfrica is basically a channel on YouTube that explains African history and like a bunch of other cool stuff. One of the main negative reviews about this movie was that people who read the novel felt that it didn't go in as much depth as it could have when it comes to the horrors of the war, which I understand. I feel like when it comes to a movie, there's only so much you can show on camera, especially if you have a limited budget. So I think it's important to have a good understanding of the war before watching the movie so that you can understand references and things that they might gloss over. So yeah, that is all. I really hope that I did these movies justice because some of them are really, really good. They're all on Netflix, I think, apart from Half of a Yellow Sun. Most of them should be on Netflix, so do check them out. And if there's any movie from this list that you have watched or that you're going to watch, after you have watched it, let me know what you think of it.